Well, that sounds like good line.
It was. We have a very good line.
And the kick return was exciting.
Yes. That kid's fun to watch.
Yeah, yes.
Stay up high with you.
It's a little weird, but.
Just let me know when they're done, and then I'll go in and
Okay.
choose from what's left.
And saw the things that I had in mind.
Back to nobody caring.
I'll be over there then. That's fine.
I'll send it to you, Jeff.
Yeah, you could, again,
No problem.
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah. Feel like you have an interrogation. We were a little bit. No. It's been very nice so far.
8 years, I'm out of here.
Very nice.
As soon as my youngest son graduates, I need to be about one.
Yeah. Yeah, the contrast is gonna be rough.
No, I lived in Arizona for a year and I hated it.
I would go down there in the winter.
Snowbird.
Yeah, I take a few minutes and I like this. They were like, yeah, I could tell they were looking for
That's Kelly Ryan. They should have a table.
Yeah, my mom rents a house in Arizona.
okay.
She goes to like Lake
Oh,
Havasu
yeah.
and she just
I
rents
don't
a
see a
house
lot
for
on this
like
agenda, Mr. Morgan. Let's set a
6
new
weeks
record,
or 8
eh?
weeks and
I
comes
don't know,
back.
you're gonna have a hard time beating April. Just giving you kudos, April. He said he's gonna have a hard time beating you from last meeting. That was, how long was it? 22 seconds, I think. No, I think, it wasn't long.
No,
It was,
I was a little aggressive with the gavel, but otherwise, I
learn
feel-
from the queen, my friend.
In fact, is it okay? Is it cracked or anything? Yeah. I gorilla glued it back
Daddy.
together for you.
I just shared that with you, Jeff. And you, Steve.
Got it, thank you. All the mics working?
Oh, yeah, they are. Is there Wednesday?
Hello?
Earlier this season, yeah.
Nice.
You probably wanna talk more than I do.
Hi, miss. Hello.
All right, let's get started. All rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Patty is not with us tonight. Wade, would you be willing to do the roll?
Greg.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
April.
here.
Eric Morgan.
Here.
Wade Welper is here. Patty? Patty is absent.
Okay, student board member report. Absent, no problem. Announcements, agenda adjustment, approval, and information dissemination. So we have a memo of understanding that is back on the agenda now from certified staff, correct?
If you recall, this is a memo of agreement. We had a difficult time finding a long-term sub for maternity leave, and we're also dealing with some licensure issues regarding one of our new hires, basically trying to get to Tier 1. This will help us in the interim, but we wanted to make sure this wasn't going to establish any kind of precedence. So that's, you should have that in front of you, your MOA.
Great.
And I did refer to it in the past two Lancer lookouts.
Okay. All right, board member reports. Mr. Welper.
HFed was trying to buy a property in Winona. That's been put on hold here, I guess, until about the summer. It would have been a really, really nice location. The Tandusky Center, I think is what we were looking at. Hopefully that's not a secret. And just something we want to look at. I think it will really help the district if we can get to that, but we'll have to wait for an update. That's the only update I have.
All right, so April, do you have anything?
Nope.
Kent has a video that, do you have that queued up?
You can just wait just a sec if you would.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh.
so we had a health and safety meeting
Oh.
last Thursday, and one good thing out of there, we have not had any more, correct me if I'm wrong, for those who were there, we have not had any more OSHA accidents that we have to report to OSHA, which is good. Secondly, is on that committee, I think for the last 5 years, and never ceases to amaze me how much effort goes into making our schools safe. I mean, they never did any of this when I was going to school, which was way back when. Not because they didn't care, but it just wasn't issues. And so we have a professional person from IEA, Angie, and she has been with us for, 15 years at least, helping us to make sure we dot all our I's, cross all our T's, not just on paper, but actually making sure that fire extinguishers are correct and AEDs are in proper place, and going through all the just myriad of information. And I did ask her, I didn't want to inconvenience her because it would be a lot of information to accumulate, but to summarize all the stuff that we go through as a district to make this place safe. It is astounding, you know, and I think it would be helpful for both the entire board, but for the public to know the extent to which degree the efforts have been made to, whether it's our safe entryways for young people coming into the building, and all the expense and time and money and effort that has gone into making this school safe. And I think our public really needs to know that. And so perhaps it'll be ready by the next board meeting, but I did ask her to do that. And then we also, we had a COVID committee meeting, I think at the evening, and we had some interesting discussions, and I think Lauren is doing a good job as far as trying to summarize the information. We have one community member that has now joined that COVID committee, which I'm glad to see. I would hope that we'd be able to get more people on that committee from the community, so the community feels involved in making the decisions, because this is going to be a long-term thing, and what are we going to do in the future? And so we do want as many reasonable, rational, respectful individuals as we possibly can to get on that committee. I think, anyway, I could be wrong. And I'd also hope that we do have experts in the community that can speak to us, whether it's to the board, or which might not be a bad idea, or just to the committee itself to answer the questions that come up that are reasonable questions that need to be answered as we move forward with this thing. So I'm not sure where we go from there, or what connections we make. And then last but not least, our oldest boy at Mercy Hospital in Mason City, Iowa. It's the largest regional hospital in north central Iowa. It serves 14 counties. And he's a critical care physician, graduated from Mayo Clinic medical school in critical care and aerospace medicine. And their team put together a video that went on I don't watch TV, Proud as a Peacock, is that ABC or NBC?
And
NBC throughout the state of Iowa to awaken the public to what's going on. Because when you have a U.S. Senator, Joni Ernst, whether a person's Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. When she's coming out and saying that the medical profession is making this stuff up so they can make more money, that is disgraceful. I don't care any way you put it. And so they put together a video that Brittany is going to show, showing people who have never been inside an ICU what it's like. So I thought it might be helpful for us to appreciate it.
And your son's a La Crescent grad, correct?
He graduated in 1996.
All right. Okay, you wanna hit that?
I think the demoralizing thing for people is there's still a fair number of people in the community, we feel, that don't think this is real. If we can get them up to the floor, then we can open this bed up for another patient. Looks like it's the ER calling, so you can see what they need.
He's been to the hottest spots in the nation deployed to take care of these people.
We're doing pretty well. We've got about a 10% mortality rate when somebody's admitted to the hospital, which is slightly better than the national average of 15%. So we're getting good at treating the people we can save. So our staff has been pretty healthy. I have lost one friend to COVID. He was a hospitalist at a different hospital where they weren't doing the protocols earlier on. He died back in January. So.
Right now, and so I'll turn in my question. You might be here shortly anyway, but.
The thing about working with this every day is it's no longer terrifying. You know, early on in the surge, we didn't know what to expect. A lot of the staff was pretty upset. We had one person who didn't want to come to work, but now the people that are still here that haven't left have all experienced this. We've sort of had this grim determination that we know what we've seen it before. We know this next surge isn't going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of work. We're probably going to lose a lot of patients. And I think the staff is still that's here isn't no longer terrified, at least. I think the demoralizing thing for people is there's still a fair number of people in the community, we feel, that don't think this is real. Unfortunately, people have politicized this. People say that we're just making it up to make more money. And believe me, we're not making this up. We've lost in the ICU, I believe, around 75 patients in the ICU. Hospital-wide, probably close to 200.
Or right here, right? Or on this side.
We're going to intubate her. The patient's fine with that. We're going to have her call her family, at least talk to them one last time in case we can't get her off the vent. Our hopes is if we can get her stabilized, let her lungs rest and recover, we can get her out pretty quick. So she's trying to get a hold of her daughter right now just to say goodbye.
So another unplanned issue with having all these COVID patients is it takes up resources that could be used for other procedures that need to be done. And I have cardiac patients that need life-saving procedures have to be postponed because there's no place to put them in the ICU or in the hospital. And that has been shown to affect mortality of these patients in the long term and in the short term.
At this time, it's really hard. You know, we're a mostly COVID unit at this point, and it is very difficult and stressful. Trying to provide care for someone who has so much going on, and she needs us too. She needs us probably as much as anybody here, as anybody sick that's sick here. And you know, sometimes the results are they're devastating. We're having a rough morning, we'll say. It's been a rough day. So we always do our best for every single patient, no matter what they come here with, and we're just seeing results that are tough to handle, tough for any nurse, tough for families, and tough for just everything.
I think most all the staff would just want to tell the community that this is real, this is happening. You know, make your own decisions as far as what to do about that. But this is, unfortunately, from the street, you don't see any of this that's going on in the hospital.
Thank you. Yeah, the thing that strikes me about that is the amount of manpower it takes to take care of one COVID patient. And if you're in an automobile accident traveling and with your family, one person might end up in one hospital, another person might end up 200 miles away because there's no room in that hospital. I mean, this is just sucking the life out of healthcare. And I'm so thankful that we passed that resolution to mask so as to at least mitigate to the best of our ability the effects it would have upon our school or upon our students, most importantly, and our staff and other people around. And I think leading by example, we're going to continue to be in this battle, but hopefully we can fight it effectively with the resources that are at our disposal. So thanks for listening.
Greg, do you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Jeff, do you have anything? I've got something this afternoon. Eric and I met with Barb Dorn from MSBA, if you remember her from the Executive Search Committee. It's just a service. They come down and touch base with us and just see how everything's going. She reminded us that as part of that package, we can, we're entitled to like a 1 or 2 hour workshop, superintendent evaluations and whatnot, and that's a sore spot for me. That's something that we kind of let fall by the wayside the last couple of years. So I went ahead and booked her for 5:30 on November 17th, Wednesday, right before our board meeting. I hope you all can make it. It's going to be a Zoom, and it's just going to go through superintendent evaluation process and a little bit of goal setting, maybe. Just, you know, since Eric is new and we've got some new members, I think it's important that we get it's important to set him up for success, and you can't lead if you don't have feedback, and, so we need to stay on top of that. So, again, that will be November 17th at 5:30 p.m. We'll just do that in here right before the board meeting. All right? Okay, moving on. Community input. Do we have any community input tonight? No? Okay. Consent agenda. If you want to take just a brief moment to look that over, we'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, Wade motioned, April seconded. Discussion, any discussion on the consent agenda? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, do we need to still roll call vote? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to the action items. Action item 9A, snow removal quotes. Commentary by Eric Martinez.
I hope all you guys got a good chance to look at the quotes. We actually had 2 this time. Apparently you guys have only always had 1. In looking through the quotes, I do recommend that we go with the one you guys have gone with before, based on the previous contracts and also the previous satisfaction we have. So that would be my recommendation, is to go with Zenke.
And that's just an hourly rate based on snowfall then?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have some comments. Can I make that now or do I?
Let's do it during discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
All right, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Kent motioned, Gregory seconded. Do we have discussion?
So Total Land Care's quote was a flat rate, and the other one was an hourly rate. Did they either estimate how long it would take to do the plowing?
Which one? I guess Zenke has previous experience and he knows how. We've also had an expansion of properties that's going to happen, and he's been part of the construction project, to be honest, so he knows what's going on. I don't know how much of Total Land Care knew. I know that he
Well, he works here.
works here, and he
Right.
dealt with he met with Patrick. I think Patrick gave him like a guideline kind of deal, but I don't know how much of that was there. And like I said, the reason that I'm recommending going with who I recommend is mainly because of the past experience, and the satisfaction that you guys have had
So
with him.
I guess my question though is, so Zenke was 500 something per hour. Total Land Care was 700
750.
flat rate.
Flat rate.
So
Yeah.
if it's 2 hours, one's much cheaper than the other one.
Right. Would be.
And so that's my only question.
My one
They-
concern about the TLC one, it just said parking lots, it didn't say like sidewalks and facilities. So I don't know if it was included in on it, or was it just the parking lot? When I was reading the quote, that was one of the thoughts I had on that.
And the way I looked at it too was, with Zenke, you get I agree with you. There was more itemized listings, and then there was also more it appeared to be more of how can I put it? A bigger view of it, like I said. Yeah.
So the only thing I'd recommend then is put a minimum snowfall,
Okay.
right? So you
Right.
don't want them here if there's a half an inch of snow, so put a minimum into the contract language, so,
Yeah, my concern too was, it just said per snowfall,
right.
how do they calculate snowfall, like it's per hour, so if we get snowfall for 4 days and they plow every day, all day long, are we gonna be billed for 48 hours?
Every hour. Yeah.
Or do we have a set?
That's why I like a flat
schedule?
rate. I like the flat rate, but,
Well, the thing, I think, on their behalf, they also have the huge equipment. And according to the Farmer's Almanac, we're gonna get plastered this year. So, just telling you, I think they would, I don't think.
full of good news tonight, aren't you, Ken?
Sorry.
Wealth of good news.
Okay, sorry. They swing a dead cat around. See where it lands.
It don't take much to get equipment. I mean,
Well, Total Land Care has equipment.
Yeah, if they needed
Right.
bigger equipment, they could rent
And
it. they
full
could get it.
disclosure, they do my plowing, so,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I am very satisfied,
Okay.
so, they're good, right?
Right. Yeah.
I just thought it was like an apples and oranges estimate, because they're not
Yeah.
both the same.
Right. And I agree with you. That's why it was difficult to look at them and
Yeah,
make a
but
determination.
I always
there.
like a flat rate, so I know what I'm in for.
Our contracts, we say 2 inches before they come out unless we specifically called it out.
Yep,
So
mine too.
2 inches seems to be the standard in those contracts. And we've always been happy with him, I think. Since I've been on the board, I think it's been Zenke. We've always been happy with his response.
Yep.
Okay.
But who's to say the other one would be cheaper
Right.
or faster?
What was the total sum we paid before, any idea, as far as
No
over the
clue.
course of a year?
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I want to say we budgeted 10 or 12 grand last year, and I don't know if we used it all or not. But I think that number, or that range seems to stick out in my mind.
But this year's gonna be more, right?
It is. But it's gonna be all at once, so it's gonna be.
Oh, nice.
One big storm.
That's
Any
fantastic.
further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of Zenke as the vendor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Action item 9B, second reading 21-22 QComp goals, commentary by the principals and Eric.
Maybe just run with it there?
Yeah.
So these goals were set through our PLC leader retreat and looking at data over the last several years. Although it was incomplete, because with last spring, we were in the middle of the testing season, and, you know, we had a couple learning model changes. So one thing that we did not do at the middle school or high school level last year, we did not have time to complete the science test. So we only had the data that was on the reading and the math. And given that, the discussion centered on the high school wanting to stay with the ACT as the measurement, and continuing with 3 or more, being college ready in 3 or more of the academic areas, of which there are 4, and increasing that percentage from 52.7 to 55%. And that's of the students in grade 11 that will take the test, and we average about 80% of the kids in our class, our junior class, each year taking that test. Middle school chose to focus on math this year, and, you know, fairly significant bump there, but our 33%, you know, we felt wasn't really indicative of where we were at. We had a lot of students last year that, as I said, you know, while we were switching in between learning models, some were quarantined, and then, you know, the testing window timed out. Of course, those scores, you know, do count against you. So the 44% kind of was the number that we arrived at, which puts us closer to what that state average was even at the end of the pandemic. So there you have it.
For the elementary school, we're continuing our focus on reading, and the assessment is A reading, which stands for adaptive reading, meaning that the test gets slowly more difficult to show what level the children are reading at. We did focus on grades 2 through 4, which is what the A reading module is designed for. In the past, we had used kindergarten through 4, but those students are still screened. They screen using what's called early reading, which is a separate set of subtests that are more individualized, and they are the nonsense words and basic sounds like phonics. So those students are still being screened, but we're modifying the goal, still keeping it based on the 2019 scores, and still ratcheting up to 70% this year.
That's a pretty good sized jump though, isn't it, 4%?
Yeah, each year we've made some growth, so we're hoping to continue that trend. The end goal needs to be 80%. That's what all schools are striving for, whether it be MCA or fast bridge screening. So that's when we know we're there.
So you're pretty sure you can get there?
I think it's reasonable. Yeah. With the training that we did this summer and the additional resources that we've got in the hands of our instructors, we're pretty hopeful. And in-person learning makes a difference for that reading.
It should.
Sure.
All right. Moving on, do we really need to vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the
All
QCOM
right.
goals.
Kent motions. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by April. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Action item 9C, approval of a new 1.0 full-time employee sub-position. Commentary by Superintendent Martinez.
I think you guys all know, and you've heard, I think the national news is calling it the Great Resignation. We're having all sorts of issues in filling our subs. I think one morning Steve went to law training, had, what'd you say, 4 subs just quit on him. Like, they signed up and then they decided not to do it, so struggling. And then we also have the elementary building where we've had a lot of different issues, which we're going to address in E as well. This would help us. I think for the time being, I think we'd have no problem finding somebody or finding work for a full-time sub. I think, truthfully, we might be coming back, and this might be the wave of the future, even within this year, for sub positions, just to make sure we have them, and that we have them every day, and we have them here. So that's why I recommend this position. Just trying to get ahead of it and making sure that we have our positions covered when there are absences and such.
Entertain a motion. I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second, discussion. This is great. In one fell swoop, we're helping to support our staff. We're getting consistency. Yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, I think. And I'd love to see one for each building, but.
So is this a probationary position type thing? Doesn't this lead into full-time guarantee? I mean, how does this move forward? Is this just 1 year at a time?
1 year at a time is what I envision, yep.
Okay, all right.
I think that's what you guys envision as well, right?
Okay. So if the person's really good too, it's a good test run to be a teacher.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's, okay, all right.
Like a rent to own.
Run to, yeah.
Reebok.
Like a promise ring. You can decide later if you're gonna get engaged.
Plot agreement, right?
No, that went too far.
Oh, okay.
All right, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Action item 9D, assurance of compliance, commentary by Eric Martinez.
It's a report that simply states that everyone in the district has done the proper mandated reporter training and that we comply with federal and state laws, specifically when it comes to the use of funds provided through MDE. District must also verify that we have copies of federal and state equity laws in each building in the district. We did our mandated reporter training and our back-to-school training. We comply with the non-discrimination components in our funding, and we do have copies of all the equity laws in each building. I'll go ahead and go in, as once it's approved here, I'll go ahead and go in and do the sign-off electronically, but this is something that has to be board-approved as well. And it just every year, but now they're doing it through the website.
All right, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to.
Greg motions, do we have a second?
Second?
Second, Jeff Connolly. Any further discussion? Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Action item 9E is an Edward. MOU, it's back on, correct?
Yep.
Okay, commentary by Superintendent Martinez.
Again, this is due to the fact that we were unable to fill a long-term substitute position, and we're currently waiting for Pellsby to grant Tier 1 licensure, as well as some other, just going with the, I don't know, how would you put it, Jeff, going with what we need at the elementary. So this is going to help us out short-term, and then once the term of the long-term substitute is done, we should be able to go back to full strength. But that's why we had to do the MOA. We have a lot of people doing a lot of work right now, and this is a way to make sure that they are paid for it.
Any further questions? Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
We have to make a motion.
Nobody made a
Oh,
motion first.
sorry. Let's have a
Motion to approve.
April makes a motion.
Second. Oh, go ahead, wait. No.
my good friend,
No.
My honorable gentleman.
Yeah, okay, fine,
Second.
whatever.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Sorry, Wade.
I
All right.
apologize profusely for anything else.
Action item 10A, pupil enrollment chart, commentary by Eric Martinez.
Good news, I think we are the exact same number. We are seeing a little bit of change, but we're still at the same number. I think we had, we have a third grader move in, Jeff?
Yeah, you know, we just had 2 children move back into kindergarten and first grade as well, so that has notched up again just last week. So, yeah, this is very close, but yeah, we are welcoming new kids as well.
Country schoolers?
You know, this has, what ECSE stands for is Early Childhood Special Education, which they are in preschool, but at the very bottom, the number 54, so they're up as well.
Good job, Beth.
I think everything is going well. I'm hoping to see the numbers stay the same all throughout. The only change I want to see is to get more, so.
Okay. Item 11, Education Minnesota Report.
Hi,
Hi.
At your convenience, madam.
sorry, welcome back. I know, and we actually have something this time.
Oh,
So,
good.
we resurrected the news from the classroom here. And, Cody put this together last minute. We had a few teachers chime in on it. And, we've got the conferences laid out there for folks. And, hopefully we're all geared up. I think elementary started tonight.
It was, yep,
Earlier
hard.
this week.
Hard.
Or earlier this week, sorry,
It's all-
misspoke.
it's all
I know,
good.
because I had to meet up with Barb and she was there for conferences, so. The football players donated jerseys, was that during, that must have been homecoming, no, not homecoming week, that was way earlier.
It was your last.
Was that last week? Was I
Last home
gone?
game.
Yes, that's right, I may have been somewhere really cool last week. So, I wasn't there, but, what a cool way, for the players to honor staff, and we can see how the staff, if you click ahead, are, filling out the jerseys there, and looking like our own team.
Awesome.
Do you have anything more on that, Josh, because I wasn't here last week?
Yeah, it was just somebody that had, they picked a teacher that had an impact on their life and asked them to wear their jersey for the day or the afternoon, or even for, in Cody's case, just for the picture, skin tight. And then Charlie there on the left, he was out actually working on the fields when the picture was taken, so that's the picture. Cody chose Charlie as an impactful person in his life, so very cool.
Right. And then this is where I was last week when I missed that. So I was in New York City. We don't need to go through the whole thing. I spent evenings when we got back and time during some of my classes this week making the kids jealous, throwing these pictures on this presentation. So I had 5 students, 2 parents, a grandparent, and my own daughter along in New York City for 4 days.
Nice.
And it was crazy busy and exhausting and worth every penny because they run you from breakfast till you fall down at night. And I do mean fall down at night. And it was in the 80s, so it was very, very warm. It was toasty in the city. Highlights, we saw Aladdin on Broadway, which apparently the tickets are hard to get, but that's what we saw. 9/11 Museum, Statue of Liberty, the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art, kind of dug that pretty much. And being let loose in Chinatown and Little Italy was pretty crazy too. So lots of kind of drive-by sightseeing as well on the bus, and they'd let us hop off and get some pictures. So, but this is, you guys can click on it. You've got everybody has view access. So
Very neat.
And I didn't get a chance to look through Christy's stuff here, but I know her pumpkin spice caramel lattes or whatever they are on Fridays are quite delicious. And she's got FCCLA up and running already. I mean, I think it's amazing that this early in the year she had 18 kids traveling for a meeting already. She's always doing just amazing things with the middle school and high school. And this too got put on after. I think also Gwen mentioned that she still has seats available for anyone who wants to go to New Orleans over spring break. So if you want to travel with a student group, I said, does that involve anyone having to participate in singing? And she said, no. I do expect you to listen to the choir. And I said, I guess if you have to. But,
Even
so
though
I know
that link
she's looking
didn't
to
work,
fill the bus.
I
What?
was just gonna share that, Gwen did the concert out here in the new addition in the amphitheater, and it worked out extremely well. People could bring their own chairs and sit outside. She said the sound was fantastic, and the kids really, being 6 feet apart and everything, had to project their voices, and it was, she said it's a venue she wants to continue to use, so kind of a cool thing. When we designed and built that, we never thought that was something that we we would do out there, but, you know, it was, and of course, the weather was gorgeous, so.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
They were much louder in person.
Is that the high school or the middle school? Or?
That is the high school choir. But the 7th grade and 8th grade choir is also the same. I don't think we anticipate a winter concert, but who knows?
Okay.
I
One never knows.
See that at the ice arena.
Oh, cool.
This was adorable. This would have been me. I was a nerd. But the 3rd graders enjoying Flashlight Friday.
That's bad for your eyes. Just kidding. You're not supposed to read in the dark.
Joy kill.
Seriously. I'm just.
Does anyone want me to punch him?
It's not dark,
Take a
I got
vote.
flashlights.
Sorry.
So,
Trying to be
I would have
offensive.
loved that when I was in elementary school. And then we resurrected, or tried to, the staff golf outing. That was actually pretty darn fun. I think we're gonna try to do another one in the spring. It was bad timing, and we knew it was.
Because it was Oktoberfest, right?
It was,
Yeah.
it was, and it was supposed to have been the weekend before, but they got double booked, so it would have been
Oh.
in between Applefest and Oktoberfest, so it would have been like perfect, but we had to go with it. So look for that in the spring, and we do truly mean it's open to everyone. It was, I don't even golf, I just went along for the ride. It was great.
Good.
I learned things about my coworkers I probably didn't need to know, but it was hysterical and fun, and it was good to hang out outside of school.
Good.
Marching band, they have had a busy fall. I really kind of miss hearing them practice, I'm not gonna lie. I will not take like one of my old art rooms back, but I do not get to hear them like I used to. So I think there's just some really good shots actually here. Oh, the fall choir concert. That must be the same night. Oh, book fair coming up. And thank yous. Yes, thank you to the principals. You guys have put up with a lot over the last couple of years, from students and staff. And to all the negotiators, I was super surprised, that's on the thank yous too, for how fast that went this year. Oh, Peggy's class, investigative bio.
That's crazy.
Always interesting.
Yes. It's amazing what shows like CSI have spawned.
My son loves that class. Apparently there were maggots involved in one of
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Grossness.
Hide and go seek 'em.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, oh, I heard a lot about the dissecting. Yes, that was a big one. Chemistry. Making things explode. Is this Cott's AP statistics?
Yes, yeah.
She can make anything interesting. Yes, like, yeah, it has to be a Barbie, the Barbie bungee jump. All right.
You
I
should
think
patent that.
What'd you say?
You should patent that.
Okay, moving on to administrative reports. Principal Smith.
Just a couple quick updates. We did fill this week the long-term sub for Brittany McGuire, who will be out on maternity leave rather soon. So that was exciting. And then we have one posted for our 8th grade science maternity leave. That's going to happen later in January, but we're trying to generate some interest early. And then we posted for, as you know, in August, Mr. Moulton moved over from math to take over our tech ed positions. Second semester, we have to juggle some things. It's going to leave a couple sections of math, algebra that are open, so we posted that. Also with the intent that, we could get someone that would be able to do kind of like what you just approved here today with the sub position. So if we can find a candidate that's certified in math, we want to also be able to offer them a day where we can fill in, with our sub needs as well. So, and that's, and I think, just a big thank you to, my staff, as Eric mentioned, we have had some situations on days where we've had people, gone for whatever reason, but we've had them filled. And then, they still have the ability up until 6:30 in the morning to leave and take another job. And so, we have had a couple days where that's been challenging. And then, we have to piece it together and staff, we either shift duties or, people give up their prep and then are paid for that. But that's, that's a hardship, and we know that. So, but we've made it. There hasn't, we've had a few classes that have had to be just virtual with the teacher and do it in the commons, but, we've been able to make that work, so.
Are you still finding it hard to get subs?
We can get them. Keeping them is the other issue, so, and I think, the days where if we have something like a conference or a training or something that we have a number drawn for, that is a real challenge. And the other thing that is kind of inherent, built in our system, we have a number of staff that are teaching overloads. So that means that, they don't have a duty, and then, they just have that prep. So it's really hard for them to give that hour up. But like I said, I think if anything positive came out of the pandemic, many of our staff know how to coordinate a virtual lesson, and they can do it on pretty short notice. And so if we let them know that, hey, we didn't get a sub, many have been able to adjust that way, and the instruction continues.
Is there anything we can do as a board to help make this better?
I think what I asked Tara and I mentioned to Eric, we would like to work with Teachers on Call to find out, if there is a common theme why, if people would drop, there's a variety of reasons, right? They could have been sick, or maybe there's a better paying job, or maybe they're more familiar with a different school. Who knows? But
that's kind of what I was getting at. If we raise the pay,
we would
Well,
like.
we just did that.
I know, but if we need to
we
raise
would
it
just like
again,
to find out why. Why are they choosing, that at such a late moment? So. But the good news is there are a lot of teacher candidates. Jeff and I placed many of them in the clinicals. Winona State has way more than I've seen in the last 2 years. And so the encouraging news is there are going to be more candidates in a couple of years. So and that's it.
All right. Principal Malco.
Yeah, in addition to activities, Mr. Smith and I have been doing pre-observation conferences and formal observations, and so that's always, personally, that's always a very enjoyable part of the job for me, being able to spend time in the classroom and watch the teachers do their thing is very enjoyable, so I'm glad that that's rolling, and we're able to be a part of that and get that process moving forward, so it's always enjoyable. Since the board report, the only thing that's really changed is that the seeding came out for playoff postseason volleyball. Out of the 17 teams, we received the 14 seed, and we will travel next Thursday to number 3 Caledonia. And so football is currently, as we speak, having their last regular season game. Last regular season game is always a Wednesday before MEA, so they're playing tonight at Plainview. And so we'll know where we'll have to travel for football next week as well. We're done hosting home events for the season. We hosted the conference track meet, cross-country meet rather, last night. That went very well. We had over 700 people, including athletes and spectators, stuff involved. Abe and his staff did an outstanding job running that as always, so it was nice for us to host it, and it was kind of funny to see some of the reaction from the Flatlanders last a little bit, that were surprised at how hilly it is around here, and so that was kind of funny. Yeah, we're gonna open up winter sports registration here next week online, and you're ready to go.
So I wanted to add a comment. I had sent a note earlier today. So I was at the home volleyball game yesterday, and I have some concerns with the mask compliance at our home games. Great game, lots of fans, huge student section, wearing masks on their chins or not at all. And then a number of fans also were not even attempting to wear a mask. And so I'd like, it's like I've been at soccer games, I've been at other volleyball games, and it's always Josh having to tell people to wear the masks, and always he's going outside between the games and trying to keep fans under control, which is, I know, has been another issue. But I feel like we need to give more support to Josh if we're going to, follow our policy. We expect people to wear them here at the board meeting. We expect students to wear them in school, and we give detention if they don't, and they should get that. But then they come to a game, and we have fans at games that are just making no effort at all. And they know better, and there's signs posted, and they should know better. But we have to do something before basketball and wrestling and stuff starts, because it can't always be that one person. And we know people get pretty upset sometimes, and it's a safety issue too, I think.
And like I put in my report too, I mean, we didn't have to cancel a single event this fall due to quarantines or COVID-related issues. And we want to be able to continue that through the, it's a long winter season. Support and common message and enforcement would be huge, getting that in place for the winter season. I'm always the bad guy, the enforcer, and that's fine, but there's just so much of it to try to enforce. I did make a huge stink at the last AD meeting because of some of the comments and kickback that I got from some visiting fans, to the point where I told them, if you don't get the message across to your fans, we won't have visiting fans. We'll just allow our home fans to come, because we're not going to deal with visiting fans, swearing at me or being jerks or taking their mask off as soon as they walk past us, and that sort of thing. So the ADs have done a really nice job of communicating that to their fans, but again, the enforcement is very, very tough. And the last thing you want to do during the event is, obviously, we saw how people react at a board meeting with that type of thing. And you put 250 people in a gym when the focus is supposed to be on the student athletes that are participating. It becomes very, very difficult. And so if we could somehow come together with an approach that would help us be successful with, masking appropriately all winter long and keeping our teams playing, that would be very much appreciated.
Do you make announcements on the public address system for people to wear their masks?
We have. I don't believe they made one last night. I usually station myself along with with Janet or whoever's doing the ticket taking inside. We offer masks to people that are coming in. We've got signs all over the place.
Right.
And it's not a surprise to anybody that's coming into the building that that's what our policy is.
I just wondered if you did that, if that might help.
We have.
You're not doing it?
We have, and what happens is usually you get the mask up for, a lot of times, same thing with our students sometimes, as they walk by, oh yeah, I gotta put my mask up, and then 5 minutes later it's back down as a chin strap or whatever, so, yeah.
Would it be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Would it be helpful to hire a private security and use some of the proceeds from to take care of it?
It'd be nice if we just didn't have to go that route, and we just had people that were responsible and respectful
But they're not,
of what our policy is, and so, I don't know. Maybe we need to bring on a couple additional, event supervisors possibly. I do have some people I can tap into for that. And we do pay a small amount to help with that stuff. You know, like last night I was down at the University of Iowa for a college tour with my daughter and Joanne and Janet were here, Joanne Lee.
Yeah, and Mrs. Lee had her hands full with,
Yeah.
like, trying to keep them off the court, and then they were, like, whipping glow sticks, and so I actually went and yelled at a kid for her, because she just was walking down the bleachers, and they did it right as she left, and I
it's tough.
went over, but, you know, they don't know who the heck I am, so, she was trying, but it was, and the adults or our own fans are not doing it, and it's always the same people, and one did it at a board meeting.
Yes.
And she's sitting at volleyball games wearing it as a chin strap, and I looked right at her. So she knew, like, she knows, and she doesn't care, so,
But perhaps we have a COVID meeting tomorrow night, correct?
next week.
Next week.
I got moved.
Okay, sorry. I'm hunting.
28th.
Oh, God, sorry.
Did you ever remove them? They won't do it?
There was a Lewiston parent that was about 2 seconds away from being removed. But when the threat of using law enforcement to remove him was issued, he complied. So we've not had to remove anybody yet. But I mean, if we went down to mask wearing, appropriate mask wearing, we'd have to remove a lot of people.
Yeah, but sometimes it just takes one removal for the rest of them to
Shape them up.
realize that we're not joking about it.
Yeah, unfortunately we do have a lot of you guys, you know our community at times. It can be that, it's, instead of, we need to make sure we do what we need to do to keep our kids safe and playing and yada, 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 it's, the school's just, picking on so-and-so or whatever, so
And
it's
we
tough.
do
I
YouTube
hadn't
the
noticed
games,
that.
right? We do, they're on YouTube, right?
What's that?
The games are on YouTube?
They are live streamed, yes.
Yeah, so people have a choice. You can wear a mask and you can watch the game, or you can
Yep.
watch from wherever you'd like without your mask on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they have a choice.
I think it might be interesting too to see about liability. If we make it very apparent that if somebody comes down with COVID and ends up being in the hospital, that these people have been removing their masks, could potentially be liable for a lawsuit. I mean, I haven't.
One thing we could do is,
That's a tough one to prove.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
we could make multiple announcements throughout the
they
game,
just-
and
you
we could
run into
stop
so many people.
the event too.
Yep.
And I've thought about that, actually
Yep.
stopping the event and saying, hey, we're not gonna continue until people mask up and we
Especially if
know
we're
that
behind and we need a timeout.
Nice.
How are we gonna make it
Don't
work?
print that.
Hey, Josh, I noticed in your report, so the MSHL contacted you about some of our fans?
Yeah, the
you tell-
officials made the report to the State High School League.
Okay.
And then I received an email from Amy at the State High School League, and it was just it wasn't like a penalty or a punishment or any type of, it was just hey, FYI.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware. And it was one away game, one home game, and
Okay.
it was our adult fans
Hmm.
that were crossing the line of disrespect and unsportsmanlike
Do
comments.
we know who it was, or?
Why did their kids see them doing this?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's something that we want to be known for.
That's right.
No.
It's definitely-
Absolutely not.
Feel free to,
Remove
I think
them.
you'd have all of our support if
Yep.
you need to remove.
And I
one of our own
have
fans.
removed some people in the past,
Okay.
especially in our gym, who have gotten across the line.
Yep.
And I've done that, and so I appreciate that support.
Yep.
Okay.
So Josh, which sports will we have a mask on in the winter sports if if the masks are still required?
Well, the interesting thing is the State High School League last year they put out their report at the 11th hour before the season started, and they had their requirements and then they had their recommendations. And it was really nice because those requirements were statewide. It was universal, everybody had to follow those requirements. This year, they did not do that, and they put out, here's what our recommendations are, and then left it up to local control. So it's all over the place. My recommendation moving forward to have some consistency with what we did for volleyball would be that everybody in the gym is masked up except for the people that are on the court playing, and then as soon as they come off the court or they come off the mat, they mask back up again. So that would be consistent with what we did this fall. And then it would still require everybody else that's in the building, officials and fans and all that stuff, to be masked up.
So all those people actively engaged in the sport would not have to wear a mask? So we're talking gymnastics, hockey, wrestling, basketball?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then as soon as they come off whatever,
Then they will put
the
the
mat
mask
or the
back.
ice or whatever, yeah. Yep. That would be my recommendation.
Fully support it.
Yep. All right, very good. Principal Kopp.
Yep. We've got construction moving very, very quickly. There's lots of work happening, lots of noise and lots of machinery around the building, but we're keeping kids safe. You can see these breakout spaces are in use for that screening I was talking about, for getting kids into Title I reading. We have intervention this year, so kids that need a boost are getting that extra attention. Very positive Friday event, a yearly event, is the Great Green Run and Roll, and you can see Coach Abe there helping lead the kids, and great weather for that event on October 1st. Raised about a little bit more than $20,000 to fund field trips, and in the past build a playground. So it also funds the garden lessons that are outdoor lessons for the kids, and bring in the diversity inclusion speaker that's going to kind of speaker series that's happening each month. So lots of good things happening. I think the Safe Routes to School is a demonstration project that's happening to the west of the building on Elm Street. We've got feedback about how to keep the surrounding area safe and improve traffic flow. So it sure helps to have parking lots. Those are all the kids that rode their bikes or walked to school on October 6th, and they were eligible for prizes, and just good healthy choices and safety as well.
All right. Beth Feed.
Well, we've had a lot happening. We have finally gotten to our very basic level of staffing. We have enough people in kids company now and in preschool. We did have to break down a lot of the positions to get to recruit smaller chunks and recruit some parents and some former staff to try to fill those, but we've got people on board. We had our first preschool staff development day of the year today, so no students were at school today, but it was a great learning day for our staff. Kids company's moving into the newly remodeled gym, so FIAD is currently happening in there because obviously the new gym is not done. So we are getting ourselves situated there. Let's see, ECFE is happening again, which is a wonderful thing. I have some more thanks to people who also loaned us trailers in addition to the semi. And the really exciting part is down towards the bottom. Bad news first is still haven't found a replacement for Joan. We are going to retool the position itself as well as the advertisement to go out again. And if not, we'll have to look at the preschool approach of breaking the job down into smaller pieces. So we'll just keep trying until we get somebody. But now the awesome stuff is I'd love to just keep thanking Karen Schwartzoff for all of her work on the natural playground, or outdoor classroom as we're now calling it. We are getting near completion, so we should be up and running by the second week in November. So a lot of great things are happening here, and can't wait to have you guys tour it when it's ready.
A lot of time the kids go to the window and watch the machines, because it's just it's like watching Bob the Builder, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's real life.
It's every day something new.
It's like when they used to set Apple Fest stuff out there.
Yep.
I thought it was cool that the high school kids are building a shed.
Yep.
For
They
things
are.
like that.
But there is an out, if you've been over there, you know the surrounding area is concrete, and it'll be a track area for bikes and trikes and gross motor skills, so the high school shop class is building us a lovely outdoor shed. You can see it if you go outside. It's looking good.
All right, very good. Superintendent Martinez.
The audit occurred on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. We're still waiting for the results on that. Kudos to Brittany, Dana, and Nicole for helping the auditors. Looking to set up a World's Best Workforce meeting in the near future. The goal is to include more people and utilize it as a driving force for our strategic planning. And then, my Ed Minnesota took my thunder. I'm a little irate about that, but I'll deal with them later. Last week, just kidding, Nicole. Last week, Governor Walz pronounced it as Principal Week. This is National Association of Secondary School Principals Month. But just wanted to give a huge thank you to Mr. Smith, Mr. Malaco, Mr. Cobb for all that they do. Couldn't do what I do without them. They've been fantastic. There isn't a day that not only these guys but the entire staff. Like they said, there's been a lot of filling in. There's been a lot of leaning into the Lancer team, and I'm very appreciative. So, but I did want to make sure that we acknowledge their leadership and all that they do for us. Aside from that, I think I put most of the construction is, like Mr. Cobb said, going very, very quickly. If you haven't looked at the elementary building lately, you'll be surprised. It seems to change daily. I'm hoping that they are done early like they were over here. Even with all the issues that we're having with deliveries and such, they're pushing along, and they're pushing along very, very well.
Can you touch on the COVID numbers where we're at?
Our COVID numbers are looking very, very good. I think we're still at 2. Is that correct? 3 at the middle school. Okay. Yeah. So that's something that, and if you've noticed, the trend is going down overall. Not as quick as we'd like it, but Houston County is boasting lower and lower numbers. So that's all good news for us. I think we went from 150 to 112 is what that was, or at any rate, it's lower from a state component. I just saw the news tonight on the Wisconsin side, not ours. Their numbers are still not going any lower, so that is difficult for us to, be right next door. But as far as the mitigation factors at the school, I think we're doing everything we can, and I think that shows with our numbers with the way they've been. Josh made a very good point in regards to us not having to, cancel anything or do anything like that. We've been doing very, very well.
I think it's amazing we made it through Apple Fest without it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Mind-boggling. So, good.
It looks like we might start getting vaccinations for kids 5 through 11 by the 3rd of November, which would be welcome.
And did I read correctly that the boosters for Moderna and the other one are going to be available as well for adults that have already been vaccinated?
Correct. Yep. So,
I have a quick question on that whole mask. Have we looked into making areas available for kids to remove their masks now that winter's knocking at our door?
That is something I think we're like we talked about before. I think we're going to have to look at that. But yeah, that's going to be the big thing. One of the things that I will tell you from just experience up north, kids don't care how cold it is if you're able to take off your mask for a couple of minutes. But we do understand what you're saying. I think both buildings, Jeff is a little bit of more of a loss than Steve is, because Jeff's building is being built, as the airplane's being built as we're flying it. But we'll try to keep looking at different ways. I know that new gym is going to help us out a lot. So, and those are the things we're looking at, because of the ventilation in those areas are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. That's good to hear. Thanks.
Yep.
Move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
Aye. All those opposed? Well, meeting adjourned.
Oh, okay. That was Now I see your point. Okay, I see your point.
Hey, they got, what, 2 field goals?
Second drive of the.
Oh, hey, well, there you go. You're welcome, man. I was,